Hey guys, welcome to Food Braggers Network. Today I'm going to make you another sizzling recipe. This time I'm going to make okra soup. If you've never seen okra, this is what okra looks like here. So I'm going to use this to make soup and fofo. And this is reaching out to my friends who have requested that I make this for them. One of them, Lady D, I hope you enjoyed this. You have made this request and I'm honoring it. I am going to make for you okra soup and fofo today. So I will begin by prepping this okra, and then as we go on, you'll see the different ingredients that I'm going to use to prepare this soup. So to prep my okra, first of all, I'm going to cut off this tip, which is not going to be used as part of the meal. But then I'm going to then slit through this and dice it into very tiny bits. It all depends. Some people may like their okra thicker than this. What you want to know that okra is very slippery. So the thinner you cut them, the more slippery the soup is going to be. So if you do not want a very slippery soup, then you have to, slippery and thick, then you have to cut it in big chunks. Otherwise, you cut it into very tiny bits like what I have here. You can also blend them. Sometimes some people prefer to blend their okra, and that makes the soup very, very thick. I prefer just to dice it into very tiny bits like what I am doing right now, and then I'll make the soup thick but not too thick. We will see the consistency of this, and you could try it in the various ways that I have told you, either blended or cut into very big chunks, and then you see which consistency you like better and you can stick to it. But I like it when I cut it to these tiny bits. So this is what I'm going to stick with, and that's what I'm going to prepare for us today. Okay, so now that my okra is all chopped up, I'm going to just put that aside. And here I also do have some mushrooms. These are bella mushrooms. You can use, these are optional. You do not need to add mushrooms if you don't like mushrooms, but I do like mushrooms. I'm going to cut them into big chunks because I like to see them in the pot. So I'll just cut that into big chunks. And put that together with the okra. And so I'm going to toss that aside. Now I also do have onions. I'm using half of a large size onions. You can use as much onions as you like. And you can use any type of onions, red or white onions. I like the red onions. I like the flavor of the red onions with my okra. But you could use any type of your choice. And you can also cut it into any size that you desire. I'm cutting it into big chunks. And I do have garlic. I'm going to add 5 small sizes of garlic cloves. So I'm going to dice that together with the onions. And I'm also going to keep that aside. I'm also going to use some cilantro. So I'm going to dice that into tiny bits. So fresh cilantro will add some flavor to it as well. So that's nicely diced. I'm going to add it together with the okra. What I do have here also is pulled chicken. You can use, you do not have to add meat at all if you don't want to, and you can cook it vegetarian style, or you can also choose to use seafood like fish, shrimps, and all that. But I'm going to have a combination. I'm adding some tilapia. Tilapia adds some kind of flavor to this, especially if it's smoked tilapia. I cannot find the smoked one, so I'm going to use the fresh one. This goes well with it as well. So I have, the chicken I have is hand-pulled rotisserie chicken. You can use any one of your choice. You can use any kind of meat that you desire. But this is what I am going to use to make mine today. So now I have prepped the things that I need to use to cook. I'm going to start cooking so you can see how this is being prepared. To get this started, I have a dry pot here. So I have it there on the stove. Turn on the heat to high, not pretty high, in between medium and high. So what I'm going to use today, which is different from what I've always used, is going to be palm oil, red oil. You can substitute this for any oil of your choice, like olive oil and so forth, but red oil gives it real good flavor. I'm going to cover the bottom of the pan. So roughly, you can say you could use about half a cup to 1 cup for this recipe. Do not allow the red oil to overcook. Just let it warm up some before you add anything, but do not allow it to too hot, because then it bleaches the oil. I'm going to reduce the heat now that my oil is steaming up. I reduce the heat to medium, and I add some salt. Salt is to your taste. Some black pepper, also as to your taste, but a minimum of at least half of a teaspoon will be good for this recipe. And I'm going to toss in my onions and my garlic. Pardon me if I turn on the vent here. It's gonna make some sound, but I need it to be able to deal with the heat and the smoke. So the next thing I'm going to add is going to be my tilapia. You could dice the tilapia if you want, or you could just break it in. Eventually it's going to all mixed up with in the soup. It's to bring out the flavor into the soup. So I'll put that in, and then I toss in the chicken. I'm going to cover that up and allow it to cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'll come back to add the other ingredients. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. Let me check that. Oh my god, this smells really good here. Okay, so I'm just going to stir that up. Now I'm going to add a little bit of curry powder to it. To your taste as well. Stir that in. I'm going to cover it up again and allow the tilapia and the chicken to really sizzle it together before I add other ingredients. So another 10 minutes. So while that is getting ready, I am going to prep my fofo. I'm going to be making oatmeal fofo today. I do not have the packet for the oatmeal because I took it out, but I'm using oatmeal which I had poured into a container. Fofo can be made from so many different things. All species of yam, potato, white yam, yellow yam, and so forth can be used to make fufu. You can make fufu with cassava. So there are so many different kinds of fufu. So sometimes when people eat fufu in restaurants and they request for it, I always ask, what kind of fufu did you like and what was it made from? So you probably want to ask that question when you go into restaurants and you eat and you like the specific one that you ate. For today, I'm going to show you how you can use oatmeal to also make fufu. So I'm going to scoop here. I'm going to use half a cup of oatmeal because I'm making for just me. Now I'm going to cover that up with water. Pour in some water. The consistency is depending on how you like it. Some people like their fufu soft. Some people like their fufu hard. I like soft fufu. So not too soft, medium, I could say moderate. So what I have done now is I have covered that oatmeal with water. And I'm going to allow it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before I actually make fufu out of it. So I'm going to keep it aside for 10 to 15 minutes. So now let's get back to our soup. As we can see, it's sizzling and it's looking good. I'm going to add a cup of water. How much water you put is depending on how thick you want your soup to be. So you want to start by putting just a little water at a time, and then once you find out that the soup is at the consistency that you want, then you're okay, otherwise you add more water. So now I'm going to add my other ingredients. I have here the cilantro that I chopped, the mushrooms, and my okra. I'm going to add all of it into the pan. I still want the okra to have some fresh taste. I don't want it to be so overcooked. That's why I put that at the last, these other ingredients last, after I have steamed all my chicken and fish. I'm going to cover it up for 5 minutes. So now I'm also going to add crayfish to it. This is crayfish. I had to blend it or grind it and then put it in a container to stay dry. So I'm just going to put 3 tablespoons of crayfish to that. Optional, you don't have to if you don't want to. But I like also the flavor of crayfish. You can find that in international stores. And if you don't have that, you can replace that with smoked or dried shrimps. I'm going to stir that in nicely. Oh my goodness, this smells really, really yummy. You can see it's really thick, so I'm going to add just a little bit more water to it. Like I said, you put water little at a time and taste the consistency, see how you like it. If you want it really thick or you want it not too thick, then you can add water to your own taste. So I add a little bit more water. After adding all the ingredients, I'm going to allow that to cook for another 10 minutes until all the ingredients, the okra and everything else simmer in and is really ready. So I want to use this opportunity because for a very long time I was looking for red oil and couldn't find one, and my good friend Caroline, she helped me get this red oil. So Caroline, thank you to you for helping me get this red oil. It's been 10 minutes since my oatmeal has been soaking, so now I'm going to toss it into the microwave, and I'm going to microwave it for 4 minutes, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Oh my god, this is looking and smelling good. Guys, this soup is ready. So approximately 30 to 40 minutes is all you have to cook this. You cook your fish and your chicken, or depending on whatever you're using, make sure that your meat is tender to your desire before you add all the ingredients. Like I said, I like my okra a little bit still fresh, so I like to put it last and make sure it's still fresh. So after preparing everything and adding my okra, I cook that okra for about 20 minutes and it's ready. So I am just waiting for my fufu now, so I can dig in and enjoy. I'll show you how that fufu turns out once it's ready. And so this is my oatmeal straight from the microwave. So I'm just going to mix it in, make sure everything is nicely mixed in. Like I said, the consistency is dependent on how you like your fufu. If you like it really hard, or if you like it, really soft, or you want it hard. So, and one thing with oatmeal is once you make this fufu and you expose it to air, it's going to harden up as time goes on. So even though it looks really soft now, as you can see, once I leave it for a little while, it's going to harden up a little, so I still be able to have the consistency that I like. So I'm going to allow it to cool off a little bit before I dig in, because at this point it is still hot. So my oatmeal is ready and my soup is ready. So I'm going to dive in and I'll show you how. I'm just going to scoop in my soup. You can put them into 2 different plates if you wish, but I like to put them in the same plate. Now the moment of truth. Well, viewers, it's time for the final verdict. So here is my oatmeal fufu and my okra soup. I'm just going to dive in. You can eat with cutlery if you wish, but I choose to eat with my fingers. So now, moment of truth. This is delicious. Well, I want to use this opportunity to say thank you to all my viewers who requested for this recipe, and all of you viewers, if you like this recipe, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Be a part of the Food Braggers Family Network and be one of the first to be notified once I have uploaded new videos.